What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. We are returning for my team for F1 22, episode number 7 for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku. This should be a lot of carnage. Thank you guys for 700k. I really do appreciate that. That was incredible to hit that just the other day. And apologies about the career mode streak ending yesterday. Basically, blame Silverstone. I just got a bit run down over the weekend and I needed to catch up on some sleep, so that's why we missed out on that one yesterday. But the good news is 2 uploads today. Co-op Career Part 1 with Alex Gillen, really good series, minus Alex. Go check it out. We live streamed that on Twitch, and we're actually, well, the video is probably already, the stream is already done by the time you're watching this, but you can catch next week's stream as well. Also, more good news from Silverstone. I was lucky enough to go in the paddock, courtesy of Track Racer, thank you guys. I was able to meet the man, the myth, the legend, Oscar Piastri. And it turns out, he watches the career mode videos, so can we all give Oscar a career mode welcome with G'day Oscar in the chat? That would be much appreciated. Anyway, let's get into this episode. We are heading into the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and we are sliding down the table. Second worst car now in the development race. Aston Martin and AlphaTauri have recently overtaken us. We do bring in some resource points. Oscar, you're not doing good enough. You're not taking practice seriously enough. We need to make this car better. So do more running, please, or, you know, you'll be on the chopping block. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe I've got the wrong strategy because I'm absolutely burning through my engines just doing all that running in Friday practice. It's a mix of actually physically doing the programs myself, but then there are some which I can't do because I'm slow, so I get the AI to do it for me. And I think when I get the game to do it for me in the quick practice programs, I think it takes extra wear out of the engine, so something worth considering. We don't really care about reliability. We're going to burn through 1 million engines, but I think it's worth it to recoup those extra resource points. So let's hope that Oscar can catch wind of that very soon. All right. Here we are for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku. Well done, Baku. That's what I'm hoping to be saying. By the end of this weekend, hopefully, there's a bit of carnage for the guys up and down the field. You know, we're not bringing the best package into this race weekend. We're now the second worst car. It is going to be a tough weekend, so we've had to be aggressive. I've dipped into time trial to see, you know, what setups are trending, and we're running super low downforce for this track. That seems to be what's dominating the time trial leaderboards, at least initially. Hard to know if the setups are actually any good at the moment because esports are keeping their setups really close to their chest. League races are also doing the same, so it's just randos like me who don't care about protecting any pace advantage, who are the only ones experimenting with setups at this stage. It's very sweaty, F1 community. Lighten up. Anyway, 12.8 wings makes the car feel like absolute garbage through the corners. As you can see here, the first sector was not good. It was very average. As I got used to the setup, we've loaded this in for qualifying, and well, it's taking a little bit of getting used to, but I think from memory, this first lap here was a lot better than the second half of the lap was much better than the first. You can see we get right up against the wall there on the right-hand side. Commitment, not an issue there, as we head into what is properly the last corner on this circuit. Maybe that's not the proper last corner because we've got this little left-right chicane, and with basically no downforce on the car, this might be a proper corner now. And it kind of is, as there's an extended tyre barrier on the left-hand side of that wall there, so it means the exit is a little tighter than last year. So it's easy to get caught up on that. I did knock that a couple of times in practice, so definitely something to watch out for. A 1 minute 42.3 is pretty garbage, actually. Puts us last place of anyone who's set a time yet. Half a second shy of Yuki Tsunoda in what is a decently faster AlphaTauri. Oscar, though, is in P15, so I've got no excuses. I've got to find a second in Sector 1, and then the second and third sectors for me are actually pretty good. So if I can sort that out, I'll be, up there with my teammates. So we're going to go out again at the end of the session here, and hopefully better our time. We're not going to adjust the front wing level. Oh!
Left in this session, and we're in the drop zone.
My AI has just hit the wall there as we start our final run, and he's going very slowly. Are we having an engine failure? Mounting the curb, what's going on?
Right rear is punctured. The right rear tyre has a puncture. You've got a puncture. You've got a puncture.
Oh my goodness. There's 1 minute and 28 seconds to go in this session, and the AI has driven me into the wall, losing my wing and giving me a right rear puncture, essentially ending my session, dooming us to the back of the grid in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We've been a bit unlucky in qualifyings. Half of it my fault. The other half sometimes just not getting the timing right. We got the timing right today, but the AI just doesn't know how to valet itself round in the correct position to not die, basically. And, well, we died. So, P20 on the grid. Hamilton and Sainz haven't got a time in. It's absolute carnage here in Azerbaijan, and the Grand Prix hasn't even got itself underway yet. Thankfully, Oscar flying the flag for the team in what is a suboptimal car right now. He is doing an awesome job getting into Q2 and pretty much being in the mix with a lot faster teams. The Haas and the Alfa Romeos, only 2 tenths shy of those guys. That is amazing. So let's see what he does in Q2 and Q3 if he gets there. But yeah, we've got a lot of work to do as we head into this race. We are going to take some engine penalties. Previous to when I was starting at the back in other races like Spain and Monaco, there was no sense in taking newer engine components because those newer engine components would have been wasted on Monaco. But Azerbaijan, we can take newer components and it's not going to be a waste. So that's what we're going to do. Dipping into brand new components for some categories. I haven't used the third charger, so I haven't used the third turbocharger, so I can't dip into the fourth. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to do it realistically. No sense in changing the gearbox, I don't think, because I want to make sure they can actually last the rest of the season. So we're going to stick with gearbox 2, and we're going to do some upgrades to the car. So we are going to be starting in dead last in this race, but we're basically using the rest of the components that are in our bank. After this race, we can take brand new components that weren't previously in our library, if that makes sense. So we'll have extra components after this race, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, just before we get ready for the race, we're going to do a major drag. Oh, it's a minor drag reduction upgrade. Going to come on in time for the British Grand Prix, so that'll be very handy. We're 4th in the development race for the Aero, which is nice to see. So maybe it's time to start working on the engine and also the chassis. I could really do with improving the chassis balance of this car, so that's something I'll make a priority after this race. But extra drag reduction, thank you very much. We'll whack that on for the car, and then we'll address other areas at another point. But there we go. That's qualifying for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We're going to get into the race now. Last place on the grid. Let's hope for some carnage to move up the field.
Good afternoon and welcome from Baku. This was the arena, if you think back to 2017, of one of the most eventful races of modern history, with controversy behind the safety car, last-second overtakes, and a historic podium for Williams and for Lance Stroll. Let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Russell, Fernando Alonso, and Magnussen, Norris, Ricciardo, Vettel, and Esteban Ocon, Bottas, Stroll, Guan Yu Zhou, and Albon, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda, and Benjamin. Hamilton, Latifi, they've taken a grid penalty, Sainz, and Mick Schumacher. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
All right, here we are on the grid of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I don't think there's any real grid penalties to speak of, which is surprising, given that we're a few races into the season, in the first season where development of the durability side is going to be at its weakest. So if there's going to be any issues with the cars, it's going to be in this season. But everyone proving to be quite reliable so far. I think it's only a matter of time before our teammate gets bitten with some grid penalties, being in the same car. But we'll address every issue as quickly as we can. We're only moving as fast as we can with the limited budget we have so far. 5 red lights, and we are underway for Baku. And it's not been a great start. It means we can take our time as we head into turn 1 and pick a line that opens up for us. Schumacher holding the apex there on the inside, unable to do a switchback. Can we get him into turn 2 though? Yes, we can. Carlos Sainz down the order with Lewis Hamilton. As we saw, those guys didn't get a time in. So they've got it all to do in this race to get up where they belong to be. It's going to be Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen fighting for the win today. Unless these guys can pull a miracle out as we go up the inside of Carlos Sainz, making his day even worse on this opening lap. Can he get us up the inside into the right-hander? He's trying. But we have the more flowing run. He was blocked out by Hamilton a little bit there, so he couldn't go down the power as early as he wanted to, as we're still fighting side by side in this middle sector. Sainz, lunging in there and nearly pulling us in the barrier. A bit of contact there on the right-hand side. Hopefully no front wing damage for us there, as we are running on simulation damage. Even the slightest touch at the wrong angle can have catastrophic consequences. As we saw with our teammate in Saudi, his car exploded when he, I think, touched Hamilton, just a few races ago. So it can happen. Let's hope it doesn't happen to us. As we get towards the end of this first lap here, not laying down the power very smoothly on the exit of that left-hander. And I think that's partly down to the aero. The low-speed rotation of this car hasn't been great across the entire calendar, I'd say. Which is why we really struggled in Monaco, and I'm looking to get to the bottom of that as quickly as I can. Carlos Sainz, he made contact with us, and he's actually got front wing damage, so that is a shame for the Ferrari driver. His day goes from bad to worse. Hamilton moving up past Tsunoda now into the right-hander, and we're going to get the switch back on Tsunoda. On the power nice and early, up into overtake. Can we go round the outside? Heading into this left-hand. Tsunoda with a big dive bomb. Turns defense into attack. And I think he's going to get the Mercedes driver. He does. And we get blocked behind Hamilton. Schumacher looking for a move on me as I'm having to go defensive. We turn defense into attack ourselves and displace Hamilton down to 20th in this race. Schumacher looking for a go as well. This opening couple of laps here in Azerbaijan has been crazy. No dirty air really at these really slow 90-degree corners with everyone just tripping over each other. It's basically bravery. How brave do you want to be under brakes? Do you want to go for that gap? The likes of Hamilton, there's no reward for being super brave on these opening few laps. He's in a really good car. He can't afford to get any front wing damage. So just like Carlos Sainz did, he's got to play it safe and wait for the Grand Prix to open up a little bit. Wait for the traffic to kind of resolve itself, and then he can start making moves. But DRS is now enabled on this lap, and that'll make life a little bit easier for Hamilton. We'll have to wait and see on the next straight, but I'd like to put some cars between us just to be a little bit more comfortable in this race. It is only a matter of time before he gets us, but you know, it would be nice to be fighting Mercedes and being able to keep them behind, but realistically, we're going to need to...
Yellow flag.
Ooh, what's happened? Oh, there's a Red Bull out. That is Sergio Perez out of this Grand Prix, so it's only one Red Bull, one Ferrari fighting in the front. Round the outside of Tsunoda. Can't quite make that stick, especially under yellow flag. Hamilton's in the wall! Perez has put Hamilton in the wall at the penultimate, the third to last corner. And this is why. Sergio with an engine failure. He was all out of sorts, probably not really focused on the traffic, trying to bring the car to a stop. And in his confusion, he's put Hamilton in the wall. Sergio is out, but for all intents and purposes, Hamilton is probably, for the most part, out of this race too, with front wing damage. I think a safety car, or no, it's a VSC. VSC has been deployed, and that'll at least give Hamilton half a chance to get back in this race. I think he'll emerge a few seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz, but not ideal for the Ferraris or the Mercedes at this early stage. And Well, that's two quick cars we probably will be seeing later on in the race, but we still maybe have half a chance of actually beating them in this race. It all depends on how quickly we get through the traffic, and more importantly, how good our pace is, as Latifi completely misses the apex of turn 2 there. Schumacher is going to get a nice run on us as we were hesitating out of that left-hander, got stuck behind the AlphaTauri, and now we're having to go defensive into this next left-hander. Schumacher up the inside of not only me, but Tsunoda as well. Very nice move there from Schumacher. Doesn't amount to anything. He has to slot in behind the AlphaTauri, and he will go again. But those Ferrari-powered cars are very quick at the early phase of this career mode. Schumacher now on the move. He gets Latifi, who has been dropping like a stone on this lap. Maybe he's got some kind of issue because he had Tsunoda overtake him as well very recently. So that's interesting. But we're going to see if we can put Latifi behind us as well. We're going to use a bit of battery, or basically all of our battery, in an effort to get past him. The battery usage has been crazy. I know a lot of you guys have been saying I'm using the battery too much, but honestly, we've got to. We have no pace. We have to really deplete our battery in order to stay within the DRS of faster cars. I am struggling for pace here. There's no two ways about it. We just seem to be lacking a bit of speed at the low speed corners, and then, you know, we've got decent straight line speed, but that's because we've taken away all the downforce. So yeah, it's a tricky issue. But also, when we're not pushing with the ERS, it drains very quickly anyway. The problem is we're just not recovering anything as we go around the outside of Schumacher at the third to last corner. He was defending fresh air like Arav was the other day, which is interesting to see. But Ricciardo is in for hard compound tyres. Early stops for the top 10 runners, and we are responding as well. Whoa! Whoa. Nearly died on the way into the pit lane. That's a really embarrassing crash to potentially have, but I think we got away with it. 42% on the left rear, and then 44% on the right rear. The tyre wear balance has not been good this race, and hence why we're getting off them very early, because the balance of the car was all over the place. But yeah, we got a lot of issues with this car. Pace, battery, even, like, as I was going to say, when I don't use the battery, I'm not really recovering anything, and the battery still gets drained anyway. It just takes an extra 2 or 3 laps. We've got cold tyres now, trying to bring these up to temperature. The problem is we're not recovering anything under brakes, so that's something we desperately need to do with the upgrades. But here we go. Cold tyres, cold hard compound tyres. This has been a new gameplay mechanic with F1 22. There really is an art to getting these tyres up to temperature. And of course, I haven't mastered that yet. So when I do, I'll let you know how to best deal with it. But we quickly need to get these tyres up to temperature because Carlos Sainz is all over us. He's 1/10 behind us. And if we're not careful, he is going to sneak up the inside of us into, well, any corner. The AI love going for a dive bomb this year. And that's also something I really enjoy. They like using a bit of battery to get alongside, and then they're not afraid to lunge you under brakes, which is really refreshing to see as Carlos just goes up the inside there. We let him go. There's no point fighting that. He's in a much faster car, especially at this stage with cold tyres. We can actually do with getting some DRS and some slipstream off of him to drag us along in this race, which we desperately need as we nearly overcut Tsunoda. We do get Schumacher. He's on cold tyres. We might, by virtue of Tsunoda's cold tyres, be able to jump him here. So let's see if we can do just that. DRS and up into overtake.
Just come in for the hard tyres. Car behind, running hard tyres.
Yeah, I figured that. No need to repeat what I already know. As we get up the inside of Tsunoda, and that is P17 in this race. With a few more people yet to stop in this race, hopefully we can make a mark in this one. Piastri going a little bit slowly at this stage. Maybe he's not as comfortable on the hard compound tyre as what he was the medium, because he was absolutely flying. We seem to be maybe just a bit quicker on new tyres. The balance seems to be a little bit better. That looks like Pierre Gasly that's gone straight on at turn 4, and this is why. Making a move on Albon, and he just runs out of brakes. Brake pedal went long and went straight into the barrier, loses a bit of his front left end plate, and that might be another unscheduled stop in this race. P16 for us with P15 on the cards. Piastri going a little bit slow. But let's see if he recovers a little bit of that pace in these dying laps. There's about 8 laps to go in this race, and I'm hoping that we don't have to worry about tyre wear for the rest of this one, as Albon is now into the lane. Is that front wing damage related? I'm not too sure. There's more squabbling going on just up the road. This is Zhou Guanyu and Carlos Sainz squabbling for P12. Hopefully those two can continue to fight to bring us into the battle. But Piastri, I think he's out of battery. That's what I think is the problem here. He's very slow in a straight line. We go right around the outside into turn 1. And he's actually going to fight this back into turn 2. We're going to have to leave the space. He mounts the curb and nearly comes over into our line and clashes with us like the Force Invias did a couple of years ago. But thankfully, no civil war on this occasion as we get through now for P14. And yeah, Piastri unfortunately got overtaken by Tsunoda and Schumacher. He's just lacking a lot of pace like we have been at times in this race. Yellow flag. Someone's going slowly on the start-finish straight. It's one of the Alpines, and I think it is Fernando Alonso. An engine failure, and the second on the bounce for Alpine in a row. So their reliability started off really good, but now it's completely in the mud as the safety car is now deployed. Mick Schumacher retired at the same time as well. So we finally see a safety car in this season of career modes. It's been so many races now, but now the race and the championship is somewhat livening up as we have an opportunity to essentially get a free pit stop here. And we're going to do that. We're going to go into soft compound tyres. We're only going to lose 3 positions. And we have a chance at points. We're changing the front wing for safety. I do believe I had a lime green front wing.
Front wing. We need to try and put that behind us now and finish the race.
As we had a pit stop error there with the front wing being a little bit slower than usual. But yeah, I just thought I'd take all precautions. New tyres, new wing, maximum pace, and let's just have a crack at the top 10 if we can. I don't think we would have got a top 10 if we stayed out on the hards, even though the pace is really good. But we're going aggressive here in an effort to get in the top 10. We're going to be, well, 2 seconds a lap faster than what we would have been on the hards. So that might put us on level pegging with those in the top 10. So we'll just have to wait and see. We're going to go really aggressive, see if we can get both the Williams early on. Hope that Hamilton gets stuck behind my teammate. Then I can overtake him and my teammate. And then if we're lucky, you know, we'll make the most of more squabbling if we can. There's a Haas that's up there. Very elevated in this race. I saw an Alpine very high as well. Maybe even on the podium. Yes, it is. It's Esteban Ocon in P3 right now. So he's absolutely flying for Alpine. Alpine are best of the rest right now in this sport. And they're just really punching above their weight. As we get ready to resume for green flag running of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We go around the outside of Albon. Can we get Latifi in the same swift stroke as he goes up the inside of Hamilton? Hamilton getting overtaken by Latifi. I can't believe what's happening right now. And Albon is in the wall with some front wing damage. He tried to hang around the outside of us. There was no space there. We do a nice little undercut on Hamilton. Can't quite get the drive that is able to draw alongside the Mercedes. Latifi's in the way, of course. Can we get up the inside? It's risky with Latifi going for a big lunge on 2 drivers into that corner. And I'll tell you what, he's the form driver of the season. He's absolutely flying in that Williams. Piastri fights back. But we get the nice little switchback on him. We like the little switchbacks in this race. Slow in, fast out is the way to go. Round the outside of our teammates. And we're now into P14. It is carnage in the dying laps of this race. We're all fighting for sheep stations here. And people are willing to risk everything just to get some points, especially for us outside the points at this stage. Zhou Guanyu a little bit slow on this lap. Latifi looking for his next victim in this race. He's been amazing under brakes today. But can he defend against us with fresh, soft, compound tyres? I suspect a lunge is coming into this corner. Is it going to be us? Is it going to be Latifi? We look to the inside, and we do get Latifi into the left-hander. He might have been king of the dive bombs, but we have just trounced the king, and now it is now our reign. I said now too many times. Either way, we're through, and that leaves Zhou Guanyu isolated without DRS for us to nab in this race. A couple of replays. That I really put it all on the line there. I could have easily crashed into Latifi as I switched to the inside. That was too close. I nearly smashed into Zhou Guanyu. I could have smashed into the wall. That was a low risk, a high risk, low reward play, but thankfully it came off for us there. And we're going to see maximum rewards as we fly past Guan Yu Zhou here on the straight and into P12. Unfortunately, 4 seconds to the next group of cars. Bottas and Carlos Sainz fighting away for the final point paying position of this race, and Bottas is actually getting back past Sainz. So hopefully those two can continue to squabble. They've been side by side for the entire lap so far, so they're actually leaking a couple of seconds on this lap. You can see we've halved the margin from 4 seconds to 2, and by the end of the lap, we're actually on Valtteri Bottas. The end of the next lap, we're on Bottas, and we're going to get some slipstream. We're not going to get DRS on this occasion. That will be active from the next lap, but we are now 1 spot away from points as the DRS now gets enabled. Can we get close enough to Sainz to have a go? It's the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. You can see Norris in a bit of a train there with the Aston Martins. So I think anything is possible. We've got the pace. The tyres are dying off a little bit, but we're running out of opportunities in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Purple to the 3rd sector. Purple in the 2nd worst car. I mean, we have set up the car specifically for that part of the circuit. We're slow everywhere else, even with soft compound tyres, but we're doing the best job we can. This is getting a bit spicy here. Stroll on Norris. Norris overtook him on the previous corner, and now it's 3 wide down in here. Norris in the middle, bit of a lock-up. He goes straight on and into the wall. We're in the points on this last lap of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and we have the 2nd worst car on the grid. Can we get Stroll as well on this last lap? He looks a little bit slow through the low-speed corners. Maybe his hard compound tyres are dying off. Our softs have really faded away quickly in these 5 or 6 laps we've had them on. We saw on the mediums how imbalanced the tyre wear was from the front tyres to the rear tyres, and it continues on the softs, so the balance is all over the place. This car loves to oversteer, and I can't quite stress enough how unstable the rear is with the low downforce but also the really high rear tyre wear. I'm having to correct slides mid-corner, even though it doesn't look like I'm sliding, but there were some really dodgy occasions where we nearly died a couple of times. But P10, looks like Stroller's going to get away with this one. I didn't get the drive traction out of the crucial corners in the 3rd sector, meaning Stroller's going to get away. We get DRS, we're out of battery, Verstappen wins, but we get points. What a race.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
It's never an easy race here in Azerbaijan. There's drama around every corner, but they've come through to take a brilliant victory here today. What do you think it was today, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Sorry, I'm eating banana bread. My girlfriend just walked in mid-podium ceremony, and it is very delicious. As was this race. I can't believe it. Getting points after being pretty much last. We were very slow at times. Chassis balance was all over the place, like I said, and tyre wear was quite frankly horrendous. So we took a big risk with the soft compound tyres at that final pit stop, and we got a single point. So this weekend wasn't entirely useless. I mean, no weekend is useless. Of course, we do get resource points every weekend, but we've actually made some progress in this race. We've furthered the championship along in the constructors and in the drivers as well. McLaren, they're our rivals at the moment. We were ahead of them a few races ago. Ricciardo getting P6. I think he's going to jump us in the driver's standings. Good race from us today. It's small steps. We're still a very small team. Piastri getting P13. So that was nice to see. Despite the car being so slow, we still can get something out of a race, which is progress, I suppose. But yeah, P15 in the standings. We'll look to get Ocon, Norris, Zhou Guan Yu in the next few races, but we really need to stem the failed upgrades that are happening. That's what's really slowing us down, as well as the weekly resources coming in with just the budget We don't have enough money to invest in the facilities, which is going to further advance our progress along. So that's the goal for the next few races. We got something out of Baku today, which is absolutely awesome. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 22 content. Check out my co-op career mode episode number 1 that went out earlier today, and I would be much appreciative of that. I'm going to do some VR videos very soon. One with my girlfriend, and maybe one doing a 100% race, which will be really cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.